Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm good. It's time to start.
Because people have been blowing the wax all over the table lately, and it ruins the cloth.
Yep, it's time to start. I'll get it. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Hello. Good morning. We need to close the coffee area so we can get started, please. I know. I love it. I love that we all love to chat. It's great. Good morning, everyone. So today is Sunday, July 7th. My name is Michelle Flores. I am your service leader for today. I want to welcome everyone to University Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, UUUF, or Triple U. And I invite everyone to please silence your devices at this time and settle into our shared sacred space together. I want to bring up a reminder that if you are not feeling well, to please stay home and join us online. Despite it being summertime, sometimes I like to think that summertime's great and we don't have cold and flu and stuff like that, but that is not how seasons and germs work. So please stay home if you don't feel well. Also want to point out our emergency exits. We have the front door where most of us probably came in. We have the exit out back here that goes out to the Memorial Garden, and then if you go down the hallway, there's an exit out the back there as well. That being said, let's move right into committee moments. So if you are with a committee and you have something that you would like the congregation to know and be aware of, feel free to come up and share that.
Good morning, David McElroy. Not tomorrow, but the 15th is Men's Support Group here at the church at 6:30. If you've not been and want to know about it, come see me afterwards. And if you know about it, come on down.
And just to rival you, we have women's group on Saturday at Bethune Park, which is 3 miles south of New Smyrna, this coming Saturday. We're going to meet around 5. That's why we weren't here last week, because we were playing hooky and I was scoping it out. So if you go into the park and you go all the way down, it's not far. There's pavilions and picnic tables and a bathhouse, so that's where we're going to meet. So 5 o'clock on Saturday.
Saturday the 13th.
Saturday the 13th, perfect. Yes. Yeah. But yes, and if you all want to carpool, obviously I'm not going to because I live near the beach. But those of you that want to carpool, you can meet here. Probably take 45 minutes to get there from here. So if you meet here about 4:15, you'd be there by 5. And wait, even better. So see Lindsay to coordinate.
Joey Cole, I'm not a committee chair. I'm none of those things, but I am almost 80 years old on the 21st, and I'm having a birthday party here after church. I don't want anything. I just want you, if you're coming to church on the 21st, I would love you to stay and just wish me a happy birthday. We are having ice cream cake. Please, I would love to see you there. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Miguel Rodriguez from Social Action Committee. We are having our postcard. We're going to do our postcards after service today. So please, don't go anywhere. It's going to be fun. We're going to, yes, Evelyn? Evelyn, thank you. Thanks to Evelyn. She did most of the work to bringing the postcards in. We're going to fill them out and send them out today. It's very important More than ever, when it rains, it pours, right? And when you thought it was safe to go back into the water, we have our wonderful Supreme Court. This is from a Wikipedia entry on the laws of Nazi Germany. The shift from the traditional legal system, the normative state, to the Nazis' ideological mission, the prerogative state, enabled all of the subsequent acts of the Hitler regime, including its atrocities, to be performed legally. For this to succeed, the normative judicial system needed to be reworked. Judges, lawyers, and other civil servants acclimated themselves to the new Nazi laws and personnel. Folks, this is serious. The dominoes are falling, and history can repeat itself. It's possible. So if we were in a nuclear threat, this would be DEFCON 2, okay? DEFCON 1 being imminent nuclear disaster. So this is serious. Let's get out the vote. We really need to stop what's going on currently in this country. Thank you.
I'd also like to remind everyone, as maybe you see up here, that we have Film Day the next 2 Sundays, July 14th and July 21st, where if you're willing, you can maybe do a short video talking about like why you're a part of UUF, and if you don't want to be on video, you can also write something that someone else will read or will put into text, and we'll share that as promotional materials. Yes, Colleen? And the forms for that are on Notable News. Great. Okay. With that, I will move on to my opening words. So, as I mentioned, today is July 7th, which means that many of us just celebrated the 4th of July, or the United States Independence Day. So I think a quote about freedom is appropriate. And I think this quote from Nelson Mandela is very fitting. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedoms of others. While there's a lot of talk right now about what's going on in our country, and it's also a presidential election year, so big surprise, we got a lot going on. I find that reflecting on my own personal freedoms is also important. Freedom to dress in ways that suit me, freedom to choose how I spend my time and who I spend it with, and who, I choose to be with, and also freedom of religion. Like, even here within this congregation, I have the freedom to choose my own beliefs, and I'm very happy that I get to be a part of a congregation that supports that. So while we have shared values and principles, my beliefs are still mine, and I have the freedom to do that. And I think reflecting on Nelson Mandela's words, I think about how I can live in a way with my freedoms and privileges that also respects and enhances the freedoms of others. How can I support other people in that? Because there's only so much I can do as an individual, but I like to consider what those things are. Anyways, so now I would like to welcome up for our opening music. Janet, is it the whole choir? No, it's just... Yep, sorry. It's hymn 170.
So you can stand if you're willing and able. Janet will give us a short introduction. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to welcome up Chase as our chalice lighter today. His pronouns are he, him. He is 14 years old, and his joy is that he got new shoes. Please join me as we say these words together. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And our affirmation, love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. At this time, I would like to welcome any guests to our congregation, whether here in person or online. And if you're sitting here, maybe turn around and wave to the people online. Thank you so much for being here with us today virtually. And thank you all for being here today. This is a place where we can come together, as I already mentioned, with diverse beliefs and shared values. If this is one of your first times being here, I highly recommend that you continue giving us a try a few times. This is, we're a partially lay-led congregation with a part-time minister, and that means what we do and what we share and the topics that come up every week are always different. Joys and concerns. This is one of the things that we do here because we know that sharing our joys can lift us up and those around us, and sharing our concerns can help lighten the load and ease some of that burden when we all share it together. So I'll invite you to come up and share your joys and concerns. Please keep in mind that because this is virtual and online, the whole world could potentially see it. Chase, we couldn't hear you, bud. Do you want to wait until your mouth is empty? And okay.
My joy is today. I had new shoes.
He has new shoes.
Hi, Chloe McElroy. I have a great joy that one of my best friends that I've had since I was 10 is officially pregnant. And she's been trying, I guess, with her partner for a little while now. I am concerned because she's not being fully responsible in her pregnancy. So I'm just trying to hopefully send her some good vibes of making good choices and responsible choices while also being pregnant. But I'm still excited.
Hi, Caitlin McElroy. I just wanted to talk a little bit about my back surgery. I had it about 4 months ago, and unfortunately this is a concern in that I'm still recovering from it, still having a really hard time. My anxieties kind of led me to avoid PT, which I know is bad. So everybody bully me into going to PT. What? We're going. She's going to help me go. But besides that, yeah, just it's been a longer recovery than I expected. So if I could just get your thoughts and vibes, I'd appreciate that. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's also home PT in case that might help with instead of going out. Hi, Chloe Hatfield. So last week I was not here. I was in North Carolina and Tennessee. And I was there for my cousin Hannah's wedding, and it was a beautiful ceremony. Very country reception, Southern Baptist wedding, and then, bacon bar and cowboy hats and everything at the reception. It was great. But I'm especially joyful for being able to go back to Tennessee in North Carolina. That's where my family is, and seeing my dad's side of the family, which I haven't seen in years, especially since a lot of my family on that side had passed away. So I was able to visit with family members, and I'm just so thankful that I still have the family that I have, and that I was able to go back to all these places that I used to go when I was a child and get to relive, this nostalgic moment of my childhood. And I was able to go by my grandparents' grave and put some flowers there for them. And it was just really nice. And I'm just so happy that I got to go back. And yeah, and I have 4 showings today for house hunting. So that's going to be fun afterwards. Thank you.
Hi, Marilyn Furmanek. We just got back from a 13-day trip. We went to Sedona and then the Grand Canyon, the little town of Williams, close by. No, Jill and Larry went there some years ago. And then we drove a long, hot way to the mountains of Idlewild, California, and then finally in LA for 4 days. And it's just a joy to see old friends that I haven't seen in 10 years and just pick up right where we left off. It's such a wonderful thing with dear friends like that. And if you haven't seen the Grand Canyon, put it on your bucket list.
Yes, and on that trip we got to see our dear friends, but also I had a cousin that I hadn't seen in 10 years and kind of just took up with her again, and it was very nice. We just had a great time. At one point, Marilyn wanted to stop at an abandoned gas station and take pictures. It was 116 degrees. And then we left, and she said, I didn't get all the shots, so we had to go back again and take more pictures. So anyway, yeah, it was worth it. And then I have one other joy. Yesterday when I got back, or after I got back, I was in a short film called What About Paris, where I played a dementia patient, and Marilyn thinks it's perfect.
Typecasting, I think it's called. So I'm Paula, and I'm back. I've been sick, and I've got my face back, and it's so much better. Life is good when you can use your face for all its intended purposes, especially the smiling part, yeah, and the laughing part, and the crying part, and all those other things. And it's good to see all of you in person again.
Okay, she wants me to share her joy. She's excited that she gets to go to the diabetes conference this week at Disney World. It's one of her favorite places, and she's been counting down the days. So,
hi, I'm Paul Chaland, son of Evelyn, and my joy today is that I was able to bring her to the congregation to actually be here in purpose. This place is incredibly important to her, and here she is in person.
Having We've had some great joys and concerns here today. I invite us all to take a moment to honor those that were shared and also those that were not. Thank you. At this time, I would like to invite up James, our RE coordinator, for Time for All Ages.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. So I have another story for us today, another Aesop's fable here, and I would like to invite up lots of volunteers, because there are lots of roles in this story, so the more volunteers, the better. So anyone who wants to come out and help act this out, please come on up. Thank you. Here we go. Oh, awesome. Okay, I'm going to set this down for a moment while I cast rolls. Okay. Retinue. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we're gonna start. Okay. Okay, the dog is gonna start out with the king. There we go. There we go. Okay. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a pond full of frogs. Now, these frogs spent most of their days swimming around, eating flies, and basking in the sunlight. But every now and then, a big decision would need to be made. And whenever that happened, all the frogs would gather together at the north bank of the pond and spend ages arguing over what the best thing to do would be. Eventually, they would have a big vote and decide what to do that way. It was long and boring and messy, and there were always lots of frogs who didn't like the outcome, but that was the way things were done. One summer day, it happened that the king and all his retinue were traveling through the woods when the sun became so hot that the king decided to stop at a pond they were passing to cool off. Well, as you might have guessed, this was the frogs' pond, and they were awestruck by the majesty of the king and his retinue. They had never seen such fine garments, such glittering gold, such magnificent carriages. One of the frogs spotted the king's lapdog lapping up some of the water from the pond and asked him who the magnificent figure in the crown was. "Oh, that is the king," said the dog. "The king," said the frog. "What is a king?" "Well, a king is a ruler," said the dog. "He's in charge and makes all the big decisions." "All the big decisions," said the frog. "You mean you don't make them?" "Of course not," said the dog. "That's for kings to do. I just sit around and get petted, or sometimes go out on hunts or long walks, or eat juicy steaks at the big feasts the king holds." Well, this sounded marvelous to the frog. No more long debates and contentious votes or worrying about what the best decision would be, plus big feasts and fancy crowns and carriages. The little frog took the news to the other frogs, and they agreed that this king thing sounded great. "So how do we get one of these kings?" asked another frog. "Oh, hello. Would you like to join the frogs?" You don't have to. That's all right. I'm not sure, said the first frog. Maybe that great big log over there can be our king? So the frogs decided the log would be their king, and they made it a little crown and dressed it in flowers and made it look very regal. And things went well for a little while until a big decision needed to be made. It turns out that logs aren't very good at making decisions. We need a proper king, said one of the frogs. A king that will tell us what to do, that will get things done. A powerful king. Yeah, said the other frogs. Just then, one of the frogs spotted a crane flying overhead. It was big and powerful and could certainly get things done. Hey ho, Mr. Crane, the frog crawled out. Come down and be our king. Well, that caught the crane's attention, and down he flew until he landed on the old king log and looked out over the assembled frogs. How lucky am I, thought the crane, and he slipped the crown onto his head. I will be your king, the frogs cheered. And for my first official act, said the crane, I demand a delicious dinner of as many frogs as I want to eat. With that, the crane began chasing them around, trying to gobble them up. And it took a very, very long time before the frogs were able to get rid of him again. The end. Thank you, everyone, so much. That was delightful. Since that was a little longer than usual, I'm going to just say goodbye, and you guys can all think about the lessons that you can learn from it.
I love that. That was, that was really, really fantastic. I love the ending. Just kidding. Bye-bye. We're done. Okay. At this time, it's time for our interlude and offering. As of now, 40% of our plate goes to Planned Parenthood. And I will invite people up for interlude and offering.
This is Everybody Sings.
Oh, okay.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking back in the highway, I saw above me and in the skyway. I saw below me the golden valleys. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land is my land, from California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me.
And now we will sing our children out as they go to RE. We love you and bless you and send you on your way. We love you and bless you today and every day. So our speaker today is Marianne Feldheim, who is a member of our congregation, and she is going to tell you a little more about herself when she comes up.
Eventually we'll get there. Well, good morning. Thank you. Thank you so much. I thought I'd start with saying a little bit about why I'm the one from SAC who is giving this presentation. Just, I've been a member since 2020, but it doesn't always mean you know about people. So my background was, first of all, I'm the oldest of 5, which meant I raised 4 others, which may or may not have been a good thing, depending on who you ask. But my father instilled upon me the whole thing of, since you are in charge, equity, fairness, justice among the siblings. How do you do that? So from the very beginning, that was important to me. I spent my career both in nursing and in higher education. And in those areas, I spent a lot of time in management. And with that, I put those values in place. In the last 20-some years, we're in public administration, and I was really focusing, well, you all know, publish or perish. So to not perish, I published a lot of articles. My focus has always been ethics. So it was ethics in healthcare, it was ethics in policy assessment. The most used or cited article I ever wrote was called Normative Education, which means it's education that is based on a code of ethics, so that you are training. And I trained at the graduate level people to work in public service, both in the nonprofit sector and in the public sector. So it was extremely important to me that they serve the public. We used the ASPA Code of Ethics, which is the American Society for Public Administration, and their code focused on things like honesty, integrity, justice, equality. It also focused on upholding democracy and participation. So those things have been, for the last, well, all my life, but certainly the last 20-some years, really important, which is why I'm really bringing us to this next part. So I want to, we talked about it, and Michelle talked about our shared values. So what are those shared values? We don't always talk about them. People just assume that you know what they are. So I want to talk about them. I want them to be first and foremost in your mind, because I'm going to ask you to do some things based on those shared values. So the first, when we're looking at these, is why did you come here? Why did you come? I mean, they're filming on the 14th and the 20-something on why you came. I personally came because of the values. I came because of the signs that say, we believe in science, Black Lives Matter, everyone is equal, that those things that we talk about, that's why I came, because those principles of justice and fairness are important to me. Now, granted, you're also a very welcoming committee, and I have to say, that when you walk in the door, people are wonderfully open and receptive and welcoming. So those are reasons too. But the values for me are extremely important. So what are the values? Now, they keep changing since now that nationally some of these are not really stated directly. We're looking at them differently. But I'm going to what I've known since I've been here, which is the inherent worth and dignity of every person. This is a huge approach to life. Michelle talked about it. It's really what we're about, which is why we have become a welcoming congregation, that everyone has value and worth. The second principle is justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. For me, this is a key piece, justice and equity. How are we treating other people, not just in our congregation, in our lives, in the community? The other is acceptance of one another, encouragement to that spiritual growth. But again, diverse beliefs. That is the values we share. But the diverse beliefs, what is your concept of God and the world. Those are all your personal things that you put together based on your life, readings. Now, this is the one we're going to talk about, the fifth principle. We use democracy. So it is it's the right of conscience and democracy and how we run our congregation. Do we have a board? We vote on changes to the bylaws, we vote on principles, we vote on what we're going to do. That's the democratic process. We utilize that. But we also have a long history in the UUs of supporting democracy in our country. Certainly, there were a lot of UUs very active in the civil rights movements and moving forward with that. We also really focus on, the goal of world community, peace for the world and justice for all, which is a huge task and undertaking, but it's also one of our principles. And for nature, we really look at that interdependent web of all existence, that what happens in one place really impacts us, whether it is in Africa, whether it is in the Amazon, whether that is the government, or whether that is the fact that people are cutting down the forests, and that is going to impact our world as we currently know it, which, as we know right now, seems to be very unpredictable with the weather. So what I'm going to be asking you to do, or to think about doing, as we go through this, as Michelle said, this very tumultuous year, is to really focus on what can each of you do. We all have the ability to do something. And I'm going to start this by saying that the speaker last Sunday gave really the idea that we need to do something, whether you are, attending a rally, whether you are going out to look for different ways to either protest or support. We need to not accept the status quo. We need to take agency, knowing that we can make a difference. And maybe that difference is only in the people in our lives, but if you impact in a positive way with your values 5 or 6 people, and if we all do that, that's a ripple effect. The other is that I really want to stress we are a nonprofit organization, and this means that we cannot publicly endorse a candidate for political office. We never do this. And that's not what I'm doing today. What I'm talking about today is that each of you need to assess candidates for public office at every level. I can't stress it enough. We need to vote, and we need to vote whether it is for the school board, whether it is for a mayor, whether it is for a county commission, or something at the state or federal level. All of those are important. Every one of those are impacting our lives. We need to know what those values are held by the person we're going to vote for. Do they have the same values you do? Or are there different values that you may not hold or want to see advanced? The other is that as UUs, we really have a history of doing this, and I encourage us to carry that history forward. Miguel said a few words before about the urgency of acting, and even the commercials on television are telling us that we are divided. We're a divided nation. Do you choose this licorice or that licorice? I mean, really. So we are a divided nation, whether we want it or not. So what can we do to decrease that divide? What can we do to help make this a democracy that we're actually working with our values? So how do we do this? And I think that James and the Frogs really gave us that if you don't defend your principles and your freedoms, you may lose them. If you give, pardon? And a bunch more. There we are. So I have a few slides that may be disturbing, but it's our reality. So The Economist is a magazine and actually a news outlet in England, and they have been doing what they call the Democracy Index for many years. Now, the United States has been a strong democracy, and if you look at this, oh, I have a pointer. Sorry, I actually have a pointer. There we go. Yay, a pointer. So this is, if you look down here, look at the years. Oh, sure.
Just so the people online.
Absolutely. You can look at the slides here. But I want you to see that there is a break. So this up at the top, above the line, is a functioning democracy. Below the line, right here, is a flawed democracy. So what are the things that they use to measure a democracy? Okay, they measure it by free and open elections. They measure it by violence around elections, violence around, is there a smooth transition of power from one party to another after an election? They use it for the freedoms that people have. They use it for their ability to vote. Do they have free access? Are they being in any way denied the ability to go to the polls and vote? Those are the things that there are multiple things they use. What they're seeing around the world is not just our country, but around the world, more and more people are finding we have flawed democracies. There are, at this point, some of the big ones that still remain: Canada, Australia, let's see, the Scandinavian countries, but many others are losing slowly their ability for free and open elections, for their ability to make decisions. And for us, the big piece is that the break comes right here, 2016, which may or may not be a surprise, but it goes, but you can see that it is steadily going down. We are becoming more and more a flawed democracy based on these very straightforward measures. So I'm pointing this out because it's extremely important for you to understand. Miguel talked about it. It's a very strenuous time right now. So if we're in crisis, what are the choices? What are the pieces that we're looking at? So there's two different visions out there. And they're very much, there it is. Is your licorice the red or is it the black? Is it vision one, which is a multiracial, multicultural, pluralistic democracy with an inclusive economy? Or is it vision two of your licorice here? Is it white Christian minority rule funded by plutocrats? Or is it an autocracy, which is that other piece? We'll talk about it. Basically, an autocracy is a dictatorship, whether you want to call it that or not. So those are the visions that are being put out there, whether we want them to or not. And our values, I'm not going to tell you where our values lie. I would hope you could see. I hope your values, but each of us choose. Each of us choose our values. Each of us choose what vision we want. And what I'm saying right now is that we have to act. Personally, I don't want to look back on this year and say I did nothing. I want to do everything I can do. And I hope many of you feel that way too. Because if it's an outcome that is with that other vision that we may not want or you may not want, it depends on what vision you want. But there are a lot of people pushing for certain visions. And Miguel alluded to it. The Supreme Court has made some major decisions in the last couple of weeks that have really changed what the election might look like. With the, and if you haven't heard, the Supreme Court has indicated that the president basically has all-reaching powers, that whatever the president does is legal, that whether that is putting people in, political opponents in prison, whether that is coming after those groups who do not agree with. So that's, and what Miguel talked about with the Hitler regime, the whole idea that suddenly egregious acts were legal. And we seem to be moving in that direction with the Supreme Court. The next part I want to really look at is that the choices, whether we want them, they are extreme. There are 3 choices. Now, I will tell you that there are some people who are writing about this. Rachel Clanfield, Ann Applebaum, talking about what these look like, and really talking about what's the reality in each of them. I'm not going into that, but the failed state, which is not a flawed, failed means the democracy is no longer even an option. Is that possibly going to happen? I would hope not, but it's really difficult in our country. The Civil War would be really horrific, because how do you determine who's on your side and who isn't? Are we going to be wearing bands like the Jews did in Europe? What side are you on? So that is extreme. Democracy in the middle is the free and open elections. It is our ability to choose. It is the whole focus on justice and freedom. The autocracy, which we talked about, really comes from the push that is happening on the right. And if you start to read and look at the media that is out there, the other pieces, this, after the Supreme Court decisions on the powers of the president, that is one option that could be out there. So I'm going to ask Michelle to help. I'll get my water here. But I'm going to ask you, what can we do to save democracy? So I'm going to ask all of you. So someone like to start?
I have found, I know it's not fun, but it actually can be fun. I don't want to say that it's not fun. Going door to door, joining a group that you agree with, that you think reflects your values, and going door to door and talking to the community. You would be surprised how receptive the community is to encouraging getting out the vote, getting information to people about where to vote if they don't have that, and if they haven't voted in the last few elections, as well as if they want to hear about your values. It can be scary. I'm the queen of anxiety, but people are really receptive, and surprisingly, a large amount of people will actually answer their door these days.
Well, of course, my mouth, as many of you know, has been going around here for quite a few years, because if people say, oh, Evelyn's such a pain in the butt, she's always talking about politics. Well, I still point out, politics is not something that you discuss about the shouts back and forth. Politics controls your life. It controls how much you're paying on your credit card. It controls what you are doing from day to day in terms of your life. What decisions have been made are those decisions that are affecting your life, and it has been subtly worn down for over 30 years in our country. And now people say, oh, it's all because of this person who got elected president a few years ago. And it's like, no, he has been created by what has been going on in our country for the last 30 years and more. And so with the philosophies changing, what you have to do is you talk. I belong to book clubs, even though being incapacitated the past 6 months has been, to say the least, frustrating. But I belong to book clubs, I belong to a movie club, I belong to a couple of other, and even though I haven't been able to go door to door, which is wonderful and should be done by anybody who can, I certainly have been indoctrinating, for lack of a better word. You know, everybody that I talk to, even if I am a pain in the neck and they're sick of hearing about it, it's like, maybe people should just wake up and pay attention. So do whatever you can, including if you help sign the postcards today, which I have brought, which simply say, vote, 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 and make sure that you are allowed to vote. So.
When I asked my neighbor if she was going to vote, she said, oh no, I might have to serve jury duty if I registered to vote. And I think it's our responsibility as citizens. I mean, we don't have a draft anymore. We're not asked to lay down our life for our country, but we certainly, serving jury duty and voting are probably the only things we're asked to do. The thing I'd say we need to do is to educate ourselves, learn about the facts and the issues, because otherwise you're looking at the ballot and you may know who you want to vote for president, but you don't know who all those other people are. So get educated too.
I
Michelle?
think I'm going to become a pain in the neck for my family. My family, okay? Many of them, okay?
So I was asked by my rep to go door to door this last week, and I just said flat out no. It's too hot, and I've done that recently. But the phone calling, I was surprised. A couple of weeks ago, I was doing phone calling for Amendment 4. So not for a candidate this time, because in the past when I've done those phone calls, nobody answers. But for some reason, I got 3 or 4 people who actually answered their phone. And they said they had no idea about Amendment 4. When I talked to it, they were like, yes, thank you so much. And so even those are 4 more people that know about something and who may, who go to the polls. So phone calls are a little easier for those who don't want to do door to door.
And there's several in the back.
I'm making my way that way.
So we live in a kind of scary part of town. As far as being out there and being loud, it's kind of a little bit nerve-wracking. So I do a lot of stuff on social media, and I think it's safer. I can't hang a gay pride flag in front of my house. I just can't. People will throw Molotov cocktails to my window where we live. So I have to be a little bit more subtle, and so I use social media, and I have friends that don't necessarily agree with me on social media, but at least I'm putting it out there.
Yeah, I have a couple different ideas and things I've used in the past. First, the biggest thing is that there's a website I've used for several years now called Vote Save America. If you go to that website, you put in your zip code, email, name. It'll assign you your team. So like Team East, Team West. It's essentially like a competition a little bit, but it provides you pathways to how you can volunteer. It'll give you volunteer opportunities. It'll give you phone calling opportunities, door knocking, and it's led by a lot of former Obama and Biden and Democrat and independent strategists who are coordinating campaigns across the country, whether that's remote or in person, on how you can be involved. And so in the state of Florida, the focus is the state legislature and ballot initiatives, because oftentimes we've seen in the recent elections, the Senate and the House may be sliding pretty far in one direction, so it may not be necessarily worth their financial investment to go in that route. But you can get involved. You can get involved in other state initiatives. You can call for other states, other races, and so it's a great website. And the second part is just informing your friends and family about what is at stake, and whether that's you want to take it as far as dramatic or just laying out things like talking about what's involved in Project 2025. And just laying out the little aspects. If you have military family members, talk about the veteran cuts that are to come with that. If you have LGBTQ family members, talk about the changes in laws with that and the attempts to attack Oberfeld v. Hodges. That just the little things and target your discussions to different people rather than a mass tends to, I feel, have a better impact.
Piggybacking on what they said, to remove our comfortable insulation. We have to become less insulated in speaking to the choir because that's, we already know. And so we have to have calm, factual evidence conversations with those who don't agree. Take the high road, but we cannot remain insulated at this time.
We're going to take only the last two after this lady.
This whole thing with the election and everything like that, elections have been stolen before, and that has happened repeatedly in history. You would have to know Governor Richards, Texas. Lyndon Johnson did not like how an election turned out. It was a state election, but he didn't like it. He was kind of like a Trumper, screaming his voice off, saying, you know, it's not fair, it wasn't done right. This has happened repeatedly in history, and really, unless you really know how your government was truly set up, you don't really know the actual history and facts of multiple things. It wasn't set up with how you were taught in school. The Iroquois Confederacy is the one that helped the framers to build this country. So if you were to know your actual facts of where elections are and how things are throughout history, it's going to keep on repeating.
I wanted to piggyback off of Jill and this very smart gentleman back there. I didn't catch your name. But anyway, there's really no point at this point, in my opinion, I've post-politics since 2015 of trying to do Trump Biden. I'm not going to do that. But what I do think is important is to point people in a way that makes them think to sources of information that are factual. So that it's their idea to go search out the facts, because if you tell them where to go, they're not going to do it. So there's mediabias.org is one of the best organizations you can go and find out media sources that don't lean too far left. So put these resources out there and say, check out your facts, check out your resources, rather than what we used to do, including myself. Fox is horrible, MSNBC, all that stuff is too divisive. And I also think that focusing on very specific areas, like you said, what are your values, what do you care about the most? It's for the youth, it doesn't feel like a choice to them. But in talking to, and I think all of you know this, and I won't get into Gaza, but a lot of youth are not happy. And they're not happy with both candidates. But in talking to my daughter, who's 26, I think she represents a great deal of the youth, which are, we may not be happy with this person or that person, but we know our values. So think when it's presented online, and that's where I do my activism. I'm not going to go door to door. I'm not going to do phone calls. But when I present it online is where I get my facts, what values are important to me, and when I'm making a choice, what's the best choice? So I think pointing in information that's factual and where to find it is really important. And it has to feel like it's their idea. So, and values.
It's
just one more.
Just one more.
I want to share something that Obama said. The best way not to feel hopeless is to get up and do something. Don't wait for good things to happen to you. If you get out and make good things happen, you will fill the world with hope, and you will fill yourself with hope.
Thank you. Thank you, Paula. Thank you all. You had some excellent ideas, and we are just going to zip through the rest here since I hear the coffee being made. And I need you to go do postcards soon. So, what are the steps we can take? All right, this comes from a presentation that was given by the Sunshine Cluster. Parts of it have come from that. But so what can you do? You can make it saving democracy your personal mission. This is something that you don't do on a, this is something you do every day, or you make time every week to do something. It makes it very personal that you talk about this and you tell people, I've made this my mission. I'm going to do what I can to save democracy, and this is how I'm doing it. Create a democracy action team. We're starting just so you know, the Social Action Committee is starting a democracy action team. All you have to do is email us and we will loop you in. What we're planning on doing is having opportunities for you to do things, letting you know the opportunities that are out in our community. We all get several different updates. They're out getting the vote. The League of Women Voters has this. The ACLU is doing this, so that you all have opportunity. And several people said, know the facts, learn more about it. We also will have places where we either have books we talk about, or that we are going to have discussion groups and read about whether it's Project 25 or whatever we are reading, that we are learning more about the situation and possible responses we could do. The other part is that we at the Social Action Committee really want to build a coalition, starting with First U, working with First U and other organizations so that we can support what they're doing and they can support what we're doing. Whether that means, it's a table at the Pride Parade, and putting out information about our values and about the action team and where to go. So it's also all the things you talked about, whether it's texting messages, whether it's phone calls, whether it's door to door. All of those things work, but everyone has their comfort zone. You need to do your comfort zone. People shared that, and I'm right with that. You need to do what you're comfortable with, what you're good at. So the next piece is that you really need to move from being an agonizer about what's happening to be an organizer. It does absolutely no good to worry about this and do nothing. So do something. We're going to give you lots of opportunities. You choose. You choose the one that works for you. And as I said before, every level in our state and in the country is important. The school board, we have so many books that are now being banned and different groups that are taking over our school boards. So it's not just at one level, it's everywhere. So if you want your values to reflect in the world that we see, then make sure that the people you are voting for hold the values that you want to see manifested. So, tell people what you're doing. Block out time for your democracy actions. So, many of you know from previous discussions, I'm a strategic planner. I've been doing 5-year plans for years. I started at 20. So, and I also journal. So I have my personal mission statement. So I did edit my personal mission statement for you all to see, which is suddenly I'm now dedicating myself to saving democracy, while focusing on, which I've always, justice and fairness. And one thing that came out last week when, get active, you need to balance your life. You need to have a balanced life. You do this with the rest of your life in balance. So whether that's time for you, meditation, whatever it is that you need. And being fully present. The older I get, the more I appreciate that you need to appreciate every day. The sunshine, the smiles, whatever that is, because it goes so quickly. And the other is that certainly encompass compassion, authenticity, which is being truthful and truthful to yourself, and certainly the new logo that we have at UU, which is love. It takes courage. Several people indicated that. This isn't easy. We're going to give you lots of opportunities, and our mission with our new Democracy Action Team is to help organize, motivate, educate, and coordinate like-minded people to help save democracy. And we'll give you lots of opportunities, but we are not going to be, if you want to participate, so you need to let us know. Either talk to me, talk to Miguel, talk to people on the committee. We will put you on our listserv, but we will not be sending to everyone, only if you ask to be a part of it. So, you have lots of opportunities starting today with partisan, nonpartisan postcards, which really encourage people who are registered voters but have not voted in the last 2 elections to vote. That's all it says, vote. We're going to be just putting addresses on the postcards. And the Social Action Committee has some money. Martha bought stamps, so we're going to put the stamps on them and to send them out. So these are the things that we're planning on doing, having other activities, having Zoom meetings, and Chloe has a question.
Is this SAC committee, is there supposed to be 2 Cs? No, there is not. There's not? Okay, I was just confused. Okay, thank you. Social Action Committee. Oh, I get it. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Worked hard on getting just one email. Thank you.
Yes, there were. That had changed. There's like 3 different addresses you can contact people. So, just to let you know. So, here's the ending. We've moved to it. So please join us today. Afterwards, we need some help setting up some tables. We do have whatever's left, and we have new cookies that we're putting out, so there'll be food for those who stay, coffee, drinks. We encourage you to move from being an agonizer to an organizer. Do something. Feel good about it, whether we're quoting Obama or whether we are just taking it, because that makes it much more acceptable, whatever the outcome. If you know you have done everything you possibly could, then the outcome is what the outcome is. But that doesn't mean you stop. If it isn't what you want, you continue in other ways. And with that, I will turn it over. And I do have one last book I wanted to share. It's a small book. It's easy to read. And it's by George Lakoff, who is a linguist. Words matter. What you say matters. So he talks about know your values to frame the debate. And I think that's the message today. Know your values, frame the debate. Thank you.
So I'm sorry, but we're actually running behind. So we can share things afterwards because a lot of people will be staying for postcards. So I think maybe during conversations. Thank you. So with that, please join me as we extinguish the chalice. Oh, found my snuffer, thank you. As we extinguish the chalice, we extinguish this flame. Until we are together again. So I will invite up for the closing music, hymn number 169.
So you can stand if you're willing and able. So I guess we'll have a short introduction. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we'll walk hand in hand someday. We shall all be free. We shall all be free. We shall all be free someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall all be free someday. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall all in peace someday.
Thank you. Well, thinking about my closing words for today, I came across this quote from the Greek philosopher Epictetus. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. This doesn't mean that I never have to explain what I believe or that I don't answer questions when people don't understand and they want to ask. It simply means that, like, actions speak louder than words, right? Hopefully people can see and learn about my values, my philosophy, and my beliefs without having to, through my actions, without me having to explain it. So I would encourage all of us to think about ways that we can embody our philosophy and our values and share that with the world around us in big and small ways. So as we mentioned, we're going to be staying for postcards. I would ask that everyone that is willing and able help us clear chairs and get out some tables so that we can make it, as Laura mentioned, many hands make light work. We can get through it pretty quickly. Is there anything else that I need? No, I think that's it. Thank you so much for being here today.